A little bit of story time today. I was 3 weeks into my stress leave from my job as a child protection social worker. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. In between watching true crime shows, and honestly, I got very good at solving the crime, sobbing and scrolling mindlessly on my phone, I asked myself this question: who am I if I can't even show up to my fucking job? Like, who am I? Do I have any value? Do I have any worth? Should somebody just take me out and throw me in the trash can? Very dramatic. And I didn't know it in that moment, but I've now realized, and it's how I help other women, that I had completely outsourced not only my identity and my income, but my happiness as well. We had literally just moved into our dream home, a mansion on an acre of land. I was 7 months pregnant with our second son, and I had never been more unhappy in my life. I felt like I had nothing left to give. But I do need to take a step back. I was the last person you would ever expect to go on stress leave from their job. I thrived in that job, going out, busting in doors, saving kids, like the Bad Boys theme song playing in my head every time we rolled out with cops. And I also thrived in helping. I loved sitting with families, getting deeply rooted in their truth and figuring out the core of what the problem was so that they could repair the emotional, the bonding, and all of the connection pieces for them to move together as a healthy family unit. I lived through chaos. As a single mom for 13 years, I could describe my life in one word and it would just be rush. Just rushing through everything there is in life. And then I ended up on stress leave. Call it burnout, call it pregnancy hormones, you can call it whatever you want. But it was honestly just my soul screaming at me to fucking listen. Strength was like always pushing through, always taking the hard cases, working after hours, working in the middle of the night, volunteering for Christmas, volunteering to cover everybody's weekend. I was the go-to. Everybody used to always tell me how strong I was, and that was the identity I took on. That must be who I am. I just deal with shit and I just move through it and I move through the emotions, but I wasn't moving through any emotions. I would literally get off a call in the middle of the night and I would go and sit in my truck and slam a beer and eat a box of pizza and fucking cry for hours. That is not strength. That is falling apart. That is abandoning your own needs and then masking it with things to give you temporary relief. And the hardest part about my job was being boxed in. I've always been destined to help. It's in my soul. That's who I am. But when you are wrapped in so much fucking red tape, it's impossible not to burn out. Anyways, let's fast forward. My husband came home from work one day and he said 5 words that have forever changed my life. So it was another day of me sitting on the couch and he came home and he's like, "What did you do today?" And I burst into tears and I was like, "Nothing." And he was like, "I'm so proud of you." And I'm like, "What?" And I felt that like, ugh, you know that feeling when somebody says something really nice to you and you're like, "Don't fucking say that, gross, I'm gonna puke." That's how I felt. And then it turned into shock. Like, what do you mean? Like, did I hear that correctly? You're proud of me for doing fucking nothing? And I never knew, but in that moment, that wasn't going to be the first time I would be validated for doing nothing. When I started my online business later, I would literally wake up to income notifications, sales that rolled in while I was sleeping. And I was like, oh, there's something more to this. A validation for just like being a human being. Fucking crazy concept, isn't it? And he did explain himself. And he said, since I've met you, like all you do is go, 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 go. And look at where it's gotten you. Now you're actually listening to your body and taking the time and just sitting with yourself. And the truth is I wasn't sitting with myself because I didn't want to face myself because, like I said before, I felt like a piece of garbage. What I was actually doing was just numbing and watching TV and trying to like have purpose in my life, which turned into solving true crime shows. Like I said before, I got pretty fucking good at it. I was still operating from this place where my brain and nervous system believed that doing all of those things equaled how much I was worth, what my value was as a human being. This is where so many women get stuck, especially women with a calling, with a sense of knowing that they're meant for more. And you're probably sitting there listening and being like, yes, I know that I'm meant for more. I just have no idea what that is. And that's what this is about. Like me, you've probably fallen into jobs that have filled that void, that have given you that sense of purpose, that given you this temporary relief of like, oh my God, look at what I'm doing. You've been handed titles, you've been handed statuses where you're like, wow, I'm really fucking doing it. Look at me, I'm a team leader. I'm a supervisor. I'm the director of this department, right? but it never filled the void. That calling, that pull, that need for more was always there. You just silenced it for a few minutes. And then you start chasing. You chase the promotions, you chase the workshops, you chase the trainings, you chase whatever you can to make yourself feel of more worth. Still, the pull is still there. And maybe you've already started your own online business. Maybe you started it and you hit the ground running and you were like, this is it. This is the freedom, the impact, all of it. And then you ran into the same problems, the burnout, the need for more. You started comparing yourself to others. Then you change the direction of your business because it's like, oh, that chick over there, she's having success with what she's doing. I'll start doing that too. And then when you didn't get the same results as her, you called it failure. But it wasn't failure because that was not your purpose. You were never destined to step into that role. You were never destined to serve people in that way, but you were just so disconnected from your truth, so disconnected from who you were meant to be that you didn't even know which direction to go, and it's okay. I'm here to tell you that it's okay. And this is not about becoming somebody new. This is not about creating a new identity. It's about unlayering all the things that prevented you from stepping into the one you were meant to have. The missing piece to your success, to your feeling of purpose, to that goal of happiness that we all have is your identity. If you don't know who you actually want to be, not who you think you should be, not who you've fallen into being, but who you actually want to be, your purpose, your impact, your income that you want will always feel out of reach. Years ago, I had this yoga nidra instructor corner me after class. And I was really struggling. This was like, I think my son was 4 or 5. I was newly single mom for the last couple of years and just really struggling to be alone with myself. So I started going to yoga as one does when they are struggling. And she comes up to me and she says, who do you want to be? And I was like, oh my God, like, why are you targeting me? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I want to be a good mom and like, I want to be a social worker and like, I want to help people. And she's like, no, those are things you do. Who do you want to be? That question followed me for years. It was not until this year, 2025, that I was able to answer who I wanted to be. 2 years after I started my online business venture. But 10 months into taking a step back from that first business and actually stepping into how I was meant to help it. And now I can answer it fully. I want to be a person that lights up the room. I want to be an energy that inspires and activates something inside of people that makes them feel joy, makes them feel like they can do anything they want in their life if they just decide. I want to be a movement for women, a space to hold them, to peel back the layers, to help them see the truth of who they truly are. I want to be a leader in my home, in my family, in my life, in my community. I want to spread love. I want to spread kindness. I want to spread gratitude. Those are the things of who I want to be. I want to be a woman who honors her own needs, who shows up for herself and teaches others to show up for her as well. I want to be a woman who holds her standards so fucking high that only the best in every area of her life is what she will have. I built my business in 2023 by copying and pasting. And when you outsource your identity, you will never step into your purpose. And so I burnt out with that first business, not surprisingly, as many of you have probably experienced yourself. I was chasing high views, chasing that external validation, chasing the money, chasing whatever I could that would make me feel of value, of worth. I have now come to realize it comes from stepping into who you were meant to be and belonging to yourself so wholly. And for the first time, I felt at peace. I'm not going to lie, it is uncomfortable as fuck to really face yourself, to get honest with yourself, and to let go of who you are not meant to be. Because that's all you've known, right? And so your brain, it sounds all the alarms and it's like, no, this isn't who we are. Don't try to change things. Your brain likes 2 things, familiarity and repetition. So of course it fought me on this and I persevered anyways. I wasn't scrolling on my phone checking my views. I wasn't getting discouraged every time. I was trusting that as long as I continued to show up to help people for my truth, that it would work out. I got fucking delusional is what really happened. And that is where the real wealth starts. And it doesn't just start in the money form. That is a byproduct of showing up and leading your life. My relationships got stronger. My connections got deeper. I got healthier. I started showing up and parenting in ways I didn't even think I was capable of being. Peace is not settling. It's not just like, oh, I'm just going to be grateful for what I have and accept it for the way it is. That is not peace. That is just gaslighting yourself into gratitude. And although I hold a special place for gratitude, and I think it's very important to practice gratitude, especially when you are building something meaningfully, you don't need to gaslight yourself into it. If your life does not match the life and the version of you that you want, then do not settle for less. Decide that you will go after it. And that's what changed everything. And I started becoming the woman I was destined to be. And so it was easy to wake up happy every single day and be like, wow, this is what I get to do for my day? Like, this is what deciding looks like? Almost every week after my calls on Monday morning, my husband comes downstairs and I'm crying. And he's like, oh my gosh, another good call. And I was like, yes. Seeing women step into their purpose, seeing women and like pulling out the truth of who they were truly meant to be, seeing them have the confidence and the security and the direction and the clarity of where they want to go. What a fucking gift. And of course, the byproduct of that is also the freedom, is also the income. It's the impact. It's the movement that we create because we are rooted in our purpose and our identity, and nothing takes the joy out of that. I have had very scary moments in my business since being rooted in this purpose. I have made huge investments, 5K in debt and still investing 10K into mentorship, into scaling my business to the next level. And it all works out because I know I'm in my purpose, because I feel at peace. Our mothers, our grandmothers, the mothers before them, they did not live in a generation like this. The ability to create this like crazy movement and this impact and this purpose while also caring for their families. And that is why our ambition is different. We don't have to step into roles that were assigned to us. We get to step into the identities we were destined to become. I want to be very clear. I'm not rejecting the roles. I love the roles of being the leader in my home. I love being home with my kids. I love having meals ready when my husband gets home. Those roles are truly beautiful. And for a lot of women, that is the purpose. That is where they feel the peace. There is not one right way to do that. And I hope, if anything, that's what you're starting to understand. It has to work for you, what you were meant to do. The identities, the roles, the expectations that we have for ourselves are often not ours. The difference between having those roles and loving them is that for me, they don't define who I am. I am defined by the choices I make. I am defined by the woman I show up to be, and I chose the identity that I wanted to have, just like you can. And it really is as simple as rewiring your brain in small, tiny little increments of time. Little self-honoring moments of, I am going to drink a glass of water and then send this email after. No, I'm not going to hold in my pee because it inconveniences everybody else in the car. That's where it starts. And it builds. And when you root your goals and what you want to accomplish in life in identity, your brain applies meaning to it. It actually activates a different part of your brain. That's why when you say, I want to lose 10 pounds this year, it doesn't fucking work because your brain doesn't care. But if you say, the woman I'm becoming, the woman I am, she eats these kinds of foods in the morning. She goes for a walk every day and she loves it with a smile on her face. You decide who you want to be and you step into that in tiny little actions. And the key piece for holding this identity, for really truly feeling that purpose of who you are meant to be, the key piece is celebrating it. Every single time. I mean, stupid celebration. Anytime you do something new outside of your old identity, the identity that kept you stuck and kept you misdirected and threw you into all these different areas of your life where you didn't find that purpose, anytime you do something different than that identity, celebrate it. Your brain doesn't know the difference between winning $1 million or finding $1 on the street. It only knows what you tell it to know. That is how your identity sticks. If anything in my story feels familiar, I need you to know this. You are allowed to restart at any stage of your life, at any time, any place, but restarting does not mean that you are starting from scratch. It means you're becoming realigned. Every skill, every movement you created in the past, all of those certificates we talked about, you get to bring them with you. And if you're already in a business and you're feeling lost or stuck or unmotivated, constantly questioning yourself, it's not because you need a new strategy. You don't need to hire a marketing team. It's because somewhere along the way, you built a business that no longer matches the woman that you're destined to become. And you have been too busy trying to keep it alive to even notice. When you step into that identity of who you want to be, and you find that purpose and you find that peace, showing up for your business, for your customers, for yourself gets to be so much more joyful. So I'd love for you to ask yourself, whether you have a business or just life, what part of your business or life feels heavy right now? Get honest. Does it feel heavy because it was built on a version of you that you're not aligned with? A version of you that isn't actually rooted in a place to hold all of the things that you desire? You know, the woman out drinking every weekend, can she hold 20K months? Is that what she does on her weekends? You have to get really honest with these questions. And what is one thing you would change about your life or your business if you weren't afraid of the opinions of others, the repercussions on your income, or disappointing anybody in your life? And the third, maybe most important question, if you stripped away the pressure, the worries, the fears, what is the work you want to be known for? What do you want people to say about you? What do you want your children to say about you if you have kids? What do you want the people closest to you to say about you and the meaning and the impact that you made in your life? Sit with these questions, let them open something inside of you. Our generation gets to choose purpose, peace, and income in that order, and build businesses that feel like home. If you want to dive deeper with some resources, I will leave the little things that make you feel like her. It is an identity-based roadmap for how you can step into who you were truly meant to be. Enjoy, and as always, I have an unwavering belief in your potential, and I wish you nothing but success.